This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised.
Today, our top 6 becomes a top 4. We've got back-to-back elimination matches, and today's winners will move forward and play under the lights of the Inspire Arena. Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 5 of the Champions Seoul playoffs and our final show at the COEX Atrium in Seoul, South Korea. I'm your host, Yingsu, and I'm on the desk with Bren and Saisho. You guys gonna miss it here? Been at home.
It's going to be cool to see the next place. That's what I'm excited for. I'm not getting nostalgic for this already.
I am going to miss the hotel, and I'm not going to leak where it is, but I am going to miss the hotel. The hotel is quite nice.
It's I think I'm right in saying it's our biggest stadium that Valorant's ever been played in, at least for a VCT match. So that's going to be nuts seeing it packed out.
Yeah, I can't believe we're going to play in a stadium named after Baby J. It's kind of iconic, right?
That's unbelievable.
Sorry, I've been waiting for that for a long time. But let's talk about what happened yesterday. Have you guys recovered? It was a fun match, I think we saw.
I loved every moment of this, to be honest, as well, because I think coming into the series, when we were casting as well, Josh, I was kind of trying to sell the story. I think that EDG were a bit underrated, I think, in terms of the kind of prep that they've been putting in over the course of the event, the firepower that they've got, of course, all of it coming together. And finally, they took down a heavy hitter like SEN, and people are putting respect on the name of EDG. And not just that, but the storyline of them breaking past their own barriers is so cool.
And you couldn't have 2 more different teams in our upper bracket final now, I think, because EDG, that breakout team from China, and Lev, a team that were built for this, a super team internationally coming together from Americas, but who actually haven't found that much success this year. In some sense, both teams, though, breaking through what they've previously been able to accomplish.
EDG all the way? How are we feeling about that?
I think they've got a chance.
I think they do have a chance as well, which is crazy to say. But yeah, I mean, they just look dead impressive.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're going to do at the Inspire Arena. But we also have to talk about what happened at the EDG press conference yesterday. Check out this question from the esteemed journalist of VCT.
Yeah, hey guys, this is Elsis from Sentinels, the losing team. I just wanted to ask a question. Ni hai mai Sentinels de biao pei ma?
今天回去就买. I'm gonna buy. If we come back to the hotel, we're gonna buy.
Thank you.
Okay, so what Zelsa said there was, are you still going to buy the SEN bundle? And Kangkong is, you guys going to buy into that as well?
He's a multilingual salesman. Literally, there is no part of the world that he will not try peddling this damn bundle to.
Yeah.
Did you see nobody's reaction as well? He's like curled over like that is the worst I've ever heard.
But also, I mean, the Vibes merchant himself as well, they just got off back an absolute heartbreaking loss where they got smacked around by the team, and he just rolls up to the press conference and answers that question. I think that speaks volumes, I think, about some of the mentality of the Sentinels players as well, that they can brush off hard losses like that.
And if that doesn't sell you the bundle, I don't think anything will. I feel like you have to buy it now. But let's take a look at the current bracket, because we have 6 teams still left in the running, and the lower bracket is nightmare fuel.
This is unbelievable. I think people are dead right in that this is the most open version of champs we've ever seen. Some of the big heavy hitter teams that you think about from prior years didn't make it to this point, and it just seems open for anyone to go on a run.
It really does. I mean, you've literally you're in the danger zone immediately with the lower bracket, with every single team that's in there. Like you said, I don't want to count any one of these teams out at this point in the tournament.
I'm going to force you to count some teams out, Bren, because if we take a look at the pick-ems powered by AWS, are you beating Razzie and Nashor right now?
I haven't checked it. I was at some point. I was literally beating most of them at some point.
That's true. You had like 94
I had 92
points or
at some point, and it was like, it would have been top if I was included on the influencer leaderboard. I'm not an influencer.
Did you do what Tarek did and just put Sentinels going all the way?
I did, so now my bracket's busted.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
Unlucky, bucko. That's how it is sometimes, I guess.
I love to check into bracketology strategy at some point. I feel like we show them once and then we never revisit them.
That's the only reason we keep doing them.
No,
It's 'cause there's
we
no
gotta revisit
accountability.
them. We gotta revisit them. But of course, we have two huge games coming up today. It is gonna be Sentinels versus Fnatic, followed by Heretics versus DRX. It's either gonna be a great day for EMEA or a hella depressing one.
Yeah.
Or it could be in the middle.
Well, I mean, also our Pacific team, the only Korean team facing elimination today as well.
Yeah.
I think for DRX, it's not just about winning, it's about making it to that big stadium and being able to play in front of all of the fans that are coming from miles around in Seoul. It would be gutting for them to miss out today, and there's a serious chance.
Yeah, and this is the thing. A lot of people think that we have the script, you know, we know exactly what's going to happen, and they are right, because we are going to spin a wheel today to find out which team we think is going to make even the lower bracket run. Whatever team it lands on, each one of us is going to make a case for why we think they'll do it. And of course, because it is the three of us, it's gospel.
Yeah.
It is gospel.
Yes.
I've never been wrong in my life. Have you guys been wrong?
I don't remember any time I've been wrong.
Not me.
Okay, and I'm spinning it. I'm making a case for the lower bracket team, the lower bracket run.
Yep.
Okay.
You
I'm
got
just
this.
going.
You got
Now, I
this.
can't see what this is going to land on. Can I just stop this? Am I allowed?
No.
No,
The
no,
all the way
wheel.
out.
Allow?
Let the wheel wheel it.
Yeah.
Okay. What did it land on?
Heretics.
Heretics.
You got Team
okay.
Heretics lower bracket run.
They've learned, the rookie players have got the experience from Shanghai. They made it all the way to the finals. They're not going to be sitting back and letting their tournament run end here. They've got the experience. I think their preparation is some of the best out of any of the teams here in terms of coming up with pistol ideas, bonus round conversions. The only thing that might stop them is the mid-rounding, but I think that they've been shoring up that as well as the event has been going on. A lot of the weaknesses, I'm not really seeing as much. It's going to be hard for them to bounce back after a loss, but they've got the potential.
Okay. All right. Listen, he's got me convinced.
Yeah, me too.
Although,
me too.
maybe I shouldn't say convinced because I'm about to make a case for a very different team.
Yeah.
So,
All the same team.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't give it very much of a spin there. That was a very soy spin of the wheel. Oh, and you know your boy's got Sentinels.
Oh my God.
Do I even need to make the case? Think in your heart of hearts which team you want to be able to win today and pick up champs after they won in Madrid earlier on. Do you believe? Do you believe? Because you should. They believe. They're incredible. They're going on a run. The rivers are going to run red.
I'm inspired.
You're right?
Yeah,
You good?
sorry, something came over me
Okay,
there. I don't know what it
I'm
was.
gonna let you take a rest real quick and see if we. I mean, if I get either Heretics or Sentinels, I think it's Jova. I think one of them is definitely gonna make that lower bracket run. But I'm seeing that EDG only has one slot on this board alongside Lev.
It's less likely
So-
that they're in the lower bracket.
Oh my God, I got the easiest job ever. I mean, I respect both of your choices. I respect, you know, everything the Heretics have done, the rookies. I respect the narrative of Sentinels, you know, finally being here at Champs. But hometown heroes, Pacific, let's be honest, best region in the world after what happened in China. DRX, they didn't do it for 4 years. They could have. They could have been the first team to do it. And this is their chance. Everything is, the stars are aligned for them. We're in Korea. We've got the only Korean team left in the lower bracket. And I'm going to be very angry at both of you if you don't agree with me on that one. Because then that means you hate dreams and hope and narratives.
I am story built. I love the idea of DRX going on an absolute tear and a run as well, and playing at the Inspire Arena. I mean, I can back you up fully with that one as well. I've been dead impressed with the entire team, and they potentially could break the barriers that the previous org and previous roster couldn't.
I think they're the least likely team to do it.
Okay, buddy. All right, get this guy off the desk.
Whoa, Josh. All right,
Get
we'll
this
see.
guy off the
We
desk.
will see. We will see. You guys have heard the dribble that Josh just gave you. So let us know which team you think is going to pull off the lower bracket run in today's MasterCard fan poll. Scan the QR code. Scan the QR code even to cast your vote, and we will have the results before the first pistol round. And make sure you use the hashtag VALORANT Champions and VCT so we can put you on the show as well. Tell us how much you love DRX. I'm ready to hear it. But they're going to play a little bit later because first up we have the Clout matchup between Sentinels and Fnatic. And of course, this is a very, very familiar one for some of the players on this team. We will remember the first ever Masters sideshow and how that one ended up going.
Absolutely. This is where history started to be made on a global level for Valorant. And it defined the way that these players' careers, I mean, if you're looking at Tens, Boaster, Durka, how they kind of took off and where they went from there. And whereas I feel like Fnatic's story is one of slowly making changes over time. Pieces coming in, pieces coming out. Durka and Boaster there throughout it all. good scouting. Sentinels have rebuilt multiple times, only keeping tens to get to this point where they've got a roster that's looking to try to lift trophies. It's a different journey, but they find themselves beginning at the same point and now potentially one of them is going to be ending.
No, I hard agree as well. It's not going to be the same as like when these two teams met at Lock-It in the opening round. That wasn't, it just felt like a bit of a Mickey Mouse moment, right? Because it was just luck of the draw that they ended up meeting at that point. But this is two teams, as they're reaching their apex in form, once again this year. And like you said, they've taken different paths to get there, but it's bound to be explosive, I think, at this point.
Yeah, speaking of those OGs, Tens and Boaster, let's send it down to Kukuka and hear from them.
I am now joined by Tens and Boaster. Guys, we know that throughout the history of Valorant, both Sentinels and Fnatic have been two of the most important organizations that we've had in the game. And you two have been on each side of the server every single time that we've seen them play internationally. I want you to reflect and be a little bit wholesome on each other's journey. I'm going to start with you, Jake. What do you think about Tens' journey so far in all these years of Valorant?
It's had its ups and downs, but I'm glad that you've managed to stay strong throughout it, and we get to play each other today.
Okay, what about you, Tens?
I think with Boaster's calling, I think Fnatic's always been like a really, really good team within EMEA, and playing against them always is it's a good match.
Okay, it is a good match. Enough of being wholesome. One of you is going to go home today, the other one is going to win. So what is the key to win today's matchup?
Well, for us, I just believe that we're our biggest enemy, like our mental, but I think we're in a good space, so that it's just mental.
Okay. What about you?
I think we just need Zellsis to do a better walkout than Boaster.
That'll be easy. That'll be easy. I haven't got one yet.
Okay, guys, best of luck. May the best win.
Do we have to make them play elimination match?
Yeah, one of them's got to go home. That's the brutal reality of competition, isn't it?
But it's so wholesome. It is so wholesome. But this is the thing, though. Let's talk about, Brent, the way that Fnatic made it past the last round against G2. What did you make of that performance?
I mean, towards the end, better lucky than good sometimes, but the thing about Fnatic is they're also good. So they've got it both in spades, man. They really do. This squad, I think, as well, I thought that their bind was looking like potentially a weak point. For example, when they went up against Billy at the start of the tournament, they showed at least some weaknesses. And, I mean, as Boaster said in the arrival, it's kind of their own mentality, I think, maybe getting in the way of some of those moments. But form factor is unreal right now for Fnatic. And on their bind as well, they're a very difficult team to even just try and get a read on, I think, overall. They have so many different looks on the defensive setups, constantly adjusting. Maybe that's part of it as well, getting ahead of themselves. But they're a real dangerous team right now. They're looking like one of the favorites to go deep, which is impressive to say, considering the caliber of teams that we actually do have left in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that bind map and how it eventually ended, Chronicle, of course, wasn't there at Masters Iceland. He was too busy winning other trophies on his other team. But we also have to speak about this. He broke the birthday curse. And Saisho, I just can't believe he's still at the top of his game after all these years.
It is unbelievable, isn't it? Because, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think he was like an MVP candidate in that Champs run. I think it was like top two were him and then CNED when Ascend ended up winning Champs. So Quan's been in the Grand Finals. He's won Masters events before. He's the most decorated player in the game and a big candidate for greatest of all time in terms of those achievements. And yet, it's not like he's been there kind of carried along in the waves of better players. He's absolutely farming people still. And this round, okay, throw that one away a little, but like, look at anything else he's doing across the event. It's bonkers.
The consistency that this guy has over and over and over again is unbelievable. And people always talk, I think, about some of the players on Fnatic getting overshadowed, maybe, or just underappreciated. Players like Durka, as an example, heading into the event. But I think the reason is because Chronicle is always at the top for me when I'm thinking about this team. When I'm rating the best players on this squad, it's always Chronicle, which is so rare, not only because you're kind of removing the bias naturally that you'd apply to duelist players, but because he's doing it on this kind of flex role where he has to be the glue, he has to be the supportive element, and he has to be playing off of his teamwork and his team play from the rest of the squad that's around him. But he does it to such a high level, and he never has fall-offs. He never drops off.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of his birthday, it was his 22nd birthday. He's done all of that. Everything you just said, he did it before turning 22.
Didn't he also have some weird knife effect? Okay, I'm out of the game when it comes to like skin stuff, but apparently he got like super lucky with like a skin line
as well.
ultra
The 1 in 300 fade.
I think it's
yeah,
500. I think it's even.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just
in that
looking at,
round as well. Yeah.
I'm just looking at what he's doing in the server, and that's like 1 in 300 as well.
Yeah, I'm not religious, but that might have been an example of divine intervention, like in that final round, genuinely.
I mean, speaking of that though, do you guys believe in the bold buff? Because Kron's gonna have to go against the king himself.
You're asking the hairless one. Of course I believe in the bald buff. No, the bald beast from Brazil is going to be back out here today. And here's another player that's been there doing the most, has a Champions Trophy under his belt, and going head-to-head in a similar role to Chronicle, right? A bit more of a hard initiator, but that kind of flex initiator position, Sacy and Chronicle. Now, Sacy hasn't been putting up anywhere near as good performances over the course of the whole year, but here at Champs, he's unlocked his form. I think he's seen the trophy, knows what it takes because he's accomplished it in the past, and it's bringing new hidden reserves out of him. Is he the same in terms of the numbers that you're getting from Chronicle? No, not necessarily, but the boost you're getting from Sacy at Champs is significant, and that's not something I feel like for Fnatic, a lot of their players are just consistently good all the time.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that fact as well. I mean, Sacy is an individual, like you said, they kind of fulfill the same niche where they are those, you know, they're not the tip of the spear for their squad going in most of the times. They're the ones having to pick up the pieces when stuff goes wrong sometimes, but also empowering, setting up the rest of their team. Yet the numbers, and especially Sacy's form, he's just kept it going and going and going this entire tournament long. And like you said, it comes from looking at that trophy and seeing what's on the line for both of these players, because they are multi-trophy lifting players. There's not many of them left in this tournament.
I think, was it Sacy actually that said, even though you win the trophy, you just get addicted to
more and more addicted.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, more and more addicted to winning. You don't let it off.
Yeah, and I think that could be said for both of these teams, right? They have people that have been in the hunt for trophies before. Fnatic won the back-to-back. Have they settled down and gotten less hungry? Maybe you could argue at the start of the year that was a problem for Fnatic. These guys are hungry now. They want it. I
mean, we talk about storylines of individual players having maybe revenge stories, maybe a little bit of kind of looking out for blood, essentially. I want to talk about Alpha real quick, because we spoke about Sacy, and Alpha's always had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder that he didn't get to win in Istanbul, and we knew who did. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this, but the stats here is crazy when he's on ISO.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, right? And ISO stats like this are absolutely unbelievable. But you shouldn't take those stats and say Alpha's worse at Killjoy or Alpha should be playing ISO on every map. What it tells you more so is that Fnatic are absolutely dominant on Haven, and it's incredibly important today that Sentinels try to push them away from that map in the map vetoes towards maps where you get Alpha on Killjoy, where you can go away from his sight and isolate him and not have to duel the guy all the time.
When you're playing a Sentinel and you're forced into that role, your positioning is predictable on the map. Like you said, you can avoid Alpha if necessary, and this guy just thrives when he plays on roles where he can get active into the mix, whether it's the Gecko, the Breach, or the ISO on Haven, where it's all collected. They put so much preparation into these individual maps, so he knows he's in the right place at the right time. He can follow up on all of his util if he wants to, or even his teammates who he's then setting up.
How big of a nerf, though, would it be if they do take away the Haven today?
I think that Fnatic still have one of the widest map pools currently out of all the teams that we've got here. So that's what makes them such a dangerous team, is that you need to remove Haven, but the trouble is, the rest of the map pool, then it doesn't really end up being a middle ground for both teams. I think Fnatic still have the edge when it comes to the map pool, even if you take away the best map of Haven.
See, I'd like to disagree with you a little bit, because I feel like there are weaknesses in the Fnatic map pool. The problem is there is no team at the tournament ready to punish those weaknesses.
Right.
There is no team that I can think of that thrives on Icebox and Ascent. So Fnatic basically get to remove one of them, normally Icebox, and they don't get punished for the other. Sentinels themselves today have not actually enjoyed playing Ascent recently. Yeah. So I think it's another circumstance where their map pool might be a tiny bit shaky, but they're just not getting punished for it because they've rolled the dice correctly at this tournament, and they're just good at everything that matters.
I would love to see them cheeky Abyss pick. I would love that. Just throw a spanner in the works.
Sentinels have never had to play Abyss. Nobody's picked it into them. Nobody knows how good they are. That's scary as hell to pick it into them, though, because they might have a trap under their sleeve.
Yeah, but I mean, I want them to pick it.
Oh, you want Sen to pick it?
I would like to see what they go cooking on it, but in my head, Sentinels have constantly been trying to shore up the map pool over the course of this tournament, because they were coming in to the event with poor compositions on a ton of maps, and they've had to rework them heading in. So they're already on the back foot in that regard. So, I mean, who the hell knows? I would love to see it as well, just to see what they have been cooking, but Fnatic, the trouble is, are coming off a loss, and there's nothing better to learn from your mistakes than coming off a loss, especially on Abyss.
Yeah, it's going to be a feast of a game today. But leading up to today's match, there was a bit of a banter between Zelsis and Boaster. Take a look at this press conference.
And also, I want Sen because Zelsis talks too much. You know, he's all over Twitter. And I've seen him in the gym, and he doesn't even lift that much, man. Like, he's so skinny. Like, when he's next to me on the bench press, I'm one-handing what he's doing with two hands. Like, put it away, bro.
I saw what Boaster said. I was hoping to win this game and be able to give something more perky answer back to him, but it's going to be a good match either way. Fnatic, I mean, I think both teams look about the same in terms of everything. I think we have the edge because Boaster averages 5 kills this tournament, so should be a fun game.
I can't wait to see the vibes on stage. I think it's going to be such a fun game.
Yeah, I think there's going to be people out of their seats constantly, and I know that was a big narrative during the Fnatic game. It will be, I'm telling you. You cannot avoid standing up and giving it back when Zelsis is on the other side.
Yeah.
But I think that that'll actually be good for both teams. It'll get them in the right headspace of having fun, getting that, like, activity in the comms. You're not going to find the teams going silent in these spots. I think this is going to be one of the best matches we've got at Champs.
I hard agree, and I think as well, it's partly because of the veteran presence on both of these teams. They've been in spots like this before. They've had to battle back. Sentinels have literally had one of the hardest paths possible to lift a trophy, so they know that it's possible, but that veteran presence means that I don't think you're going to see a flop in performance from either of them. I think you're going to see the best brought out of both of them in the lower bracket, elimination on the line, and it's your last chance to make a real proper stand for the final tournament of the year.
Yeah, but Brent, how do Sentinels recover? Because less than 24 hours ago, they had it. They could have avoided this elimination match altogether. What happened?
This was a brutal one, I think, as well. And I don't think that they underestimated EDG. I think EDG are just a good team when it comes to being able to pick apart weaknesses that they see in their opponents. And that's not really evident because EDG had an easier path, you can argue, as well, to get to that point in the playoffs. But beating Sentinels, I think, proved that for me entirely. And it's not that they lost steam. I just think that it was a bit of like the map pool depth towards Sunset was missing for Sen. And I think there's been evidence of that over and over again. And now they have less than 24 hours to shore up those weaknesses, to make sure that they correct most of it. If Sunset gets played, that is, because we don't know. But in terms of middle ground maps, there's not too many other options for Sentinels to really move into.
Yeah, I was listening to the press conference, and Kaplan was saying it was more to do with their confidence levels on the defense side of Sunset and how they were making plans and that kind of stuff. I don't really believe that. I think that maybe he believes that, but to me, when I'm looking at their Sunset, I'm seeing big holes in their defensive setups. I'm seeing them play too passively over towards B, giving the map over to EDG a lot, not being super tight on the retakes. I think the fact that TenZ is not playing over towards A to try to take the aggro line, like, they just play the map in a slightly unusual way on the defense side of that. I think
it's one-dimensional.
They got punished.
It's one-dimensional as hell. They play retake often on B with kill trips that are going to be set all the way towards the back of the site. They never really fight over B main control. It's pretty vital that you mix it up at least, but they're more often than not, they're running 3 players holding down A main on Sunset on their defense, and it's just too one-dimensional. You need different looks when people figure out your setups, figure out how your composition is going to be running, and now there's plenty of footage for it.
Now, Kaplan also said that they were going to be spending basically the whole night, because remember, they've only had 24-hour turnaround, just focused on themselves and improving their own game. So if Sunset does get played, you would potentially see a better version of it from Sentinels, and it's a map that Fnatic have kind of been like so-so on. They're willing to play it, willing to float it, but it used to be a permaban for them, and it's a map that doesn't look like it's at the tippity top of Fnatic's pool. So, you know, winnable spots, but that's been the case for Sentinels all tournament. If they can access that potential, they can win against teams as scary even as Fnatic.
Yeah, for more on that game against EDG, let's hear from John QT in this Omen player moment.
Hello, it's John QT from Sentinels. Definitely upset from the loss and mad. We knew it was a bit of a trap game where we can like kind of lose ourselves, and it's pretty much what happened. I think in the third map on defense there was a lot of hesitation and second guessing ourselves and putting ourselves in difficult situations where we just couldn't win, or it's like difficult to win. For example, the post plants on B, just playing 5v5 post plants were difficult, and yeah, we just kept doing mistakes and just made it harder for us. Definitely bummed out that we just didn't get it over with, especially because we had the upper hand on the series, and we just dropped the ball.
We'll make a go of things here, EDG trying to make that play. Good trade by TenZ once more, but a smoke dropped down. Now with a paranoia, all added on top, leaving it just down to TenZ, and he's doing damage right through the wall. Isolates the one for Bullet! Oh boy!
Looking back to Madrid, we were kind of in a similar position after we lost the upper final and we went to lower. That's just good experience to have, knowing that we've been here before and we came up on top. It's very important for the team. It's do or die for us from now on, and we just got to keep it going.
When you get this deep into a tournament like this, you need the preparation time, especially for a team like Sentinels.
Yeah, it's interesting because they really wanted that break. It would have been 5 days off, lots of time to work on themselves, prep, ante. But John also said during that interview there that they've been in this spot before. That's how they won Madrid. And that's kind of how they've played all year. At their best is when they've been forced to play back to back to back to back to back.
Under the most pressure. Get knocked down into the lowers, forced to adapt, forced to shore up the map pool, forced to fix and correct your mistakes.
How often can you do that, though? It's got to breed some inconsistency at some point when you're being forced to go through the most rigorous route.
Yeah, that's the question, right? I mean, the only evidence we've seen of them doing that is at Madrid, which I think is a pretty big tell. It was a competitive event, despite the fact that people are trying to tar that event with the idea that it was less competitive because there's only 8 teams, but you are sending the 8 best teams from every region.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that argument holds. I think they have been able to do it in the most strenuous of circumstances. It's just going to be really difficult this time around because prep is going to be, in my mind, a really important factor with this matchup against Fnatic because they are one of the most prep-heavy teams, one of the most well-versed teams in terms of the depth of their map pool and the distance they can go, and they're veterans. You can't even really rely on the pressure getting onto Fnatic, I would argue, as well, because they've been in similar spots like this.
And speaking of the best teams, we do have the 2 best duelists in the tournament going up against each other as well. That is Durka versus Zek, and I'm not just saying that they're the best. Statistically, they are the best.
Yeah, in terms of what they've been able to deliver here at Champions, Zekken has been #1, powered by outrageous Neon performances, mostly. So that's another thing to look at in terms of the map pool. And then Durka's been putting on a show on a range of different characters, but the Yoru has been especially impressive to me because I think of that as something that he's really had to work on over the course of this year.
It is. And these 2 players are going kind of just pound for pound in terms of this metric, right? And they are heavy hitters in their own regard, but a lot of people put in doubt on the name of Durka heading into the event. I remember I had him in one of my top player lists. You always do as a little thought experiment heading into it, and people were screaming at me, kicking and screaming, wondering why the hell I had Durka in a list, but they don't understand that that's the issue of trying to rate the power of Fnatic, is that almost on any other day, every single player is able to step up and supersede one another in terms of that performance. You have Chronicle putting up insane results, Alfia alongside it. It's hard to pick who the best player is, but Durka has proven that he is still a top player in the world. He's definitely not top 21, I can tell you that for sure.
Top 2 actually right now, technically.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think that's what happens when you get a super team together. And still, to me, to this day, they are the only roster ever that I would call a super team, because I think other rosters have got like super team components, a bit like Leviathan right now. Even Gambit, they rose to success and became lauded for what they did. When they were formed, they weren't a super team. That's what Fnatic did. They formed a team with outrageous talent, and to give them credit, they're even missing one of those pieces, Leo, at the moment, and they're still doing that. It's monstrous.
And where does Hero come into the super team? Do you feel like he can live up to that, the Leo legacy?
Hero has impressed me to such a degree, actually, coming into this, just because of the fact that he has a lack of experience. I think all the credit as well to Fnatic, I think, in terms of their structure, being able to develop him so quickly. But it helps when you can really just plug and play and say, okay, here are our setups on this map when you're running Cypher or a Sentinel or whatever, and here's what you need to be doing in these spots. You can bring it up to speed incredibly rapidly, but he hasn't faltered under the pressure, I would argue. There's been moments where he's looked like he's in dire circumstances, like the Abyss game where he's jumping off the map out of smokes as well.
That was a bit rough.
My heart was breaking for him because I'm like, my God, that would just break any inexperienced player wondering if you've tossed the map, tossed the entire game away. But when you're surrounded by veterans who can bring you up in moments like that as well, just from their confidence, like just seeping into you through some weird form of osmosis, then listen, the Hero has risen to that occasion and he has stepped up, and I think he's filled the shoes of Leo, which honestly, that's an impossibility.
Yeah, it is.
They're big shoes. They're very, very big shoes. But let's see what the fans at home think, because it's time for the results of our MasterCard fan poll. Earlier, we asked you which team is going to pull off the lower bracket run, and you guys voted for Sentinels. Sen City.
Listen, they got the clout, they got the army on Twitter.
Okay.
They're probably paying for blue ticks.
Now, I did have to make the case for Sen earlier today, but if you ask me, they're the underdogs in this matchup. I think Fnatic have deep map pool, like you're saying, all-star team, I think it's going to be very tough for SEN to be able to overcome this hurdle. If they do this, though, that should make you feel good about the future.
And, I'm not the only one for once. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
I think this is a lot of respect for Sentinels, to be honest. I was going with my heart with these spreads. I think in terms of favorites, it's Fnatic and Heretics for me in my brain, but I don't like listening to my brain. I like listening to my heart. And my heart wants to see a Sentinels lower bracket run. My heart wants to see DRX potentially play at Inspire 2.
Yeah, I actually think that the Team Heretics match over DRX is more of a favorite versus an underdog, in my opinion, just because of what Heretics have been able to do in the past. This first match, it should be somewhat even as long as the map pool doesn't put something astounding in one of the team's hands.
It's almost a coin flip in my mind. I could not decide this morning, but then I went with the EMEA because, surprise, today, of course, is all about survival and a shot to play at the Inspire Arena. This will come down to Sentinels versus Fnatic, Team Heretics versus DRX, and day 5 of the Champions Tour playoffs elimination day starts right here, right now.
서울에서의 챔피언스가 언제 또 있을지 모르기 때문에 이 챔피언스 홈그라운드에서 퍼시픽 그리고 한국팀인 저희가 우승하는 그림을 꼭 보여드리고 싶어요.
Just like in Shanghai, we dropped down to the lower bracket, but we all know how Shanghai went.
Team Heretics, a 3-0 to send themselves to the grand finals.
I'm gonna do it again.
저번 마스터즈 상하이에서도 우승할 뻔했지만 젠지에게 빼앗겼던 것처럼 이번 경기에서도 저에게 질 수도 있기 때문에.
When I was first starting out VALORANT, I used to watch a lot of Mako. I'm happy that I get to play against someone that I copied from at the start of my career and kind of prove that I'm just as good.
Gets it off, Benji! I told you this guy can clutch. Oh, and he's still doing it!
저희 코리아 그리고 퍼시픽의 위상을 조금 더 높게 세우고 싶어가지고 더 열심히 노력하는 것도 있는 것 같아요.
Mako, you've got the home crowds, but I'm still going to be coming for you.
Fnatic, you're gonna have to fight through the lowers.
It's a tough position.
Playing with 1 life left doesn't really bother me. We have to play a lot more matches now, but that could be a blessing for us because we'll get more ready and we'll get more pumped from now.
We definitely play better under pressure. The whole year is kind of a testament to that. We've been in very difficult situations, but we have always been able to come through and fight back.
Sentinels, they beat us first time in first Reykjavik event. We also beat them at lock-in. Right now, all we need is to get 13 rounds against every team and proceed to the finals.
Fnatic, we've both been here before. We both lifted trophies. Let's give the fans the best matchup yet.
I'm coming for you, Zelsis. I'm gonna make you sit down.
Sentinels. Fnatic.
There is a lot of history between these two organizations, and somehow every time they meet, the stakes are always high. But at Champs, elimination. No mistakes can be made, and this map pool is going to be very important.
Okay, now, there's a lot to take in here, but immediately, SEN want to get rid of Haven. I respect that decision. It's the best map for Fnatic right now, 100%, and Icebox is a standard one for Fnatic to really take out of the pool here. But SEN picking Sunset as a first map pick is wild to me, I think. It's almost like a pick your poison situation. There are some maps that they might have been favored on, for example, like Lotus, but it screams to me, the more I'm looking at it, that they potentially wanted Fnatic to pick into Lotus, potentially get a favored map pool at the first part of the series.
I mean, one of the crazy things is Fnatic are kind of weak on Ascent, but nobody else wants to play it against them, and Sentinels haven't shown Abyss, and so no one feels confident picking Abyss into Sentinels because you don't know what you're getting. So in the end, you end up on these 3 maps that are actually fairly decent for both teams, but Sunset's kind of like a bit of a weakness for both of them in terms of what we've seen at Champions. And so that's going to be a wobbly start for both teams to get their footing, and I think it's super important that SEN stabilizes early.
And they're starting on defense as well, so Fnatic have chosen the attack for Sunset, and there's a couple of things I'm going to be looking at, in particular for Sentinels, I think, that they correct and fix. Number 1 is prioritizing B main control. I think they need to have some different looks where they either fight over B main control rather than holding 3 of their players for A main all the time on their defense. There's something that Fnatic like to do when they play on this map, which is inserting hero early, and then they go back and go into B execs once they pressure their other areas of the map. If Sentinels pull out some like 1 minute on the mark re-clears of B main to punish hero, that could be really strong as well. But that entire area of the map needs to be a focus, and
no more Neon!
They've
no
moved
more
back.
Neon!
This comp, this is a comp that they used to play. They were dominating in scrims as well, ahead of Madrid with this comp, and honestly, a lot of teams ended up copying them as a result of this, but they're going back to a prior composition. I mean, this is crazy. It throws prep that Fnatic have done out of the window.
I agree with that, but it's also a pretty heavy retake style on their defense. So it probably means that they're not going to make the adjustments that you're talking about, where they lock off A main or B main early. They're probably still going to hold back, but they're going to rely on their retake style that got them through to that trophy in Madrid and hope to lean on it once again to overpower Fnatic's post plans.
Yeah, and this to me looks like the Sentinels wanted to completely throw Fnatic's prep off guard as well, which just means this map is going to be very, very interesting. It's time to throw it over for your casters. It's Pansy and Steel.
Thank you so much. This series is going to be exceptional. These 2 teams have met around the world, from the likes of Sao Paulo over to Reykjavik and now in Seoul. It is time to lock the fuck in. We got a game on our hands. Fnatic against Sentinels, Josh. This is going to be nuts.
This one is going to be one of those matches where you have that structure, the telegraphed, methodical play versus the confident, unpredictable X factor of Sentinels. And what a better map to start it off on than Sunset, a map where neither of these teams really play this all too often. We're going to wait to see what's in store.
Deep breaths. SEN on the defense, Fnatic on the attack. We've got 2 of the best players so far in this tournament, now head-to-head. Zekken leading the fray, of course, and Durka, and in identical roles. The little switch here of the composition from Sentinels could put Fnatic on the back foot. Certainly shocked the desk a touch. And now we wait and see, has the prep gone out the window? A Fnatic now left wanting more, but patient beginnings.
Sentinels giving up that A site and the B site, looking to do that mid-collapse, which means we're probably going to see a 5-man, 5 versus 5 retake, unless Sentinels tries to press the issue a little bit early here. They have lots of characters with flashes. They have the KO, the Gecko, and the Paranoia from TenZ, but here comes the 5 versus 5. Smokes are down for the attackers in a few more seconds here, and the retake is going to be on.
But the first blood is drawn by Hero. Now, patience being shown again from SEN. Cautious steps forward, trying to clear through by elbow. You can see where the vast majority of Fnatic sit.
2 flashes ready.
They're waiting for it. First contact made. Site being swarmed. Sentinels looking for a body to drop, and the shots aren't landing this time. It's John QT to answer back. They've got sight, but they don't know about Hero. Pressure from the back lines. 3 for him, eyeing up his 4th. And John QT can only dance for so long. Fnatic with the first. SEN unable to land the retake.
SEN don't know if they're ready for this rude awakening, facing off against Hero, the I guess, the X factor of their own for Team Fnatic, coming in pretty recently and having tremendous form, finding that pixel gap on that cage on that first kill. But that first round falls to Fnatic, a slow contact into that site, structured on that retake. Surprised Durka didn't use the paint shells in that post plant, but Sentinels trailing by 1.
Just classics now for Sentinels. See what they can achieve.
And a similar start to the last round, or setting up mainly for that mid fight to re-clear. They have just classics here, so waiting potentially for Fnatic to start maybe looking through middle, getting Boaster involved in that position, Hero as well. They've done these splits, they've done these inserts before, but right now Fnatic's not going for it. First round it's A, second round it's B, and another 5 versus 5 retake is going to be on the horizon here. Sentinels in a position, if they want to, they can flood out quickly.
They're looking to maybe springboard off the contact here, but Alpha standing on guard. That's Zekken gone and TenZ. SEN now down to 3. Again, it is just classic, so they're looking to do any sort of damage they can. Not finding that right now, and Alpha and Chronicle, clean work. A flawless round here for Fnatic in the second.
Flawless round, 4 alive on that pistol as well, so Sentinels barely in the game. They have a kill, that's on John QT. If they want to be able to get their footing in, they are a team that plays off that momentum, off that confidence, off the individual prowess. But it needs to start with a big round. This would be a perfect round to be able to set the tone. 5 players with Light Shield and Hero purchasing an Outlaw.
Yep. That could be devastating. Again for SEN, they do need to get the ball rolling here. It's been a tough start for them. And it's Hero to take the first glance up towards top mid. Contact now, kind of on both fronts.
And here comes the middle advancement that Fnatic likes to do. Sentinels was trying to set up for it in the previous rounds. It never came, but this is the round. Durka, Boaster, both slipping the net. They're trying to do a split on B site.
But the high-low setup in market could still find masses of value. You look at Zekken, you look at John QT. Zekken in a wonderful position, but a very uncharacteristic missed shot, and Alpha takes it with both hands. The crunch coming in now. Wrap it around, Zelsis in jump. Oh my god, so much trouble. Who the hell is this Fnatic? Because SEN unable to find their footing. I'm a little surprised, as I thought that nice little setup in market could have really rewarded Sentinels here, but no, it's down to the last 2 who aren't really encouraged to go for this now.
That high-low setup, Sentinels is looking very static at the moment, sitting in this, waiting for something, almost as if they sat there preparing for this map from Fnatic, looking at what they do and trying to maybe do a mind game, an anti-strat, and not really playing as loose and nimble as we come to expect them when they try to know exactly what's going on and they try to get ahead of it, try to 1 versus 5 these attacks, but right now, sticking to their guns, sticking to the setup.
Nice. Nice for Sacy there. Good for him to start the ball rolling as well. Just feel out the game, feel like you can have a bit of impact. And of course, he gets to keep the rifle. The other 3 now, this was the bonus for Fnatic. We'll probably want to keep these. There's not too much of a need to chase. You've got to look at Durka as well. Showstopper is there.
I can't believe, though, it's going into round 4, and we're looking at Chronicle and Boaster combined 1 ultimate orb between the 2 of them. All the kills so far has been on Hero and Durka and Alpha. That's where the plants have been going as well. 2 of those are really good ultimates for them to have.
And good job, Alpha. I was waiting for your flash. Yeah, good comes. That's fine.
Now is the time. Yeah, Sacy gets a couple of kills as he's trying to save his weapon, but knowing that they can get some shots back is going to be important enough to be able to realize time to get loose.
And again, it will always be a reminder that Sentinels, no matter the scoreline, are never quite down and never quite out. This time, that's what we're talking about. Sacy with a quick 2 in middle. Already doing so much damage, catching them by tiles. It gives them a huge advantage. However, unrecoverable weapons, that would have been lovely to get to hand. Maybe supplement the 2 remainders that they had left over. Again, Zelsis, John QT, and Zekken still on those sheriffs, but it's TenZ on the corner. Boaster potentially on the chopping block. TenZ going to respect that and fall back step by step.
Keeping in mind here that 3 players from Sentinels have sheriffs. They only have those 2 vandals, and if Hero gets his hat off, he can get the information. This 3v5 is winnable. Right now, it's a 3 versus 4 in the A site.
Oh, TenZ again, another step back. Not getting what he wanted, but feeling brave enough to go back in. And that's why, big pickup on Alpha there. And now they slow the roll. Sacy in unison. This is what Sentinels needed. As Hero gets caught, Sentinels responding kind, get the upgrades and get their first here.
A flawless, nonetheless, to open up their first round, the round that they need on the board to be able to get the confidence. But all those first and second rounds, that mid-stack, waiting for this mid-walk-up from Fnatic, it finally pays off in this fourth round. And now, feeling maybe like,
let's go,
hey,
boys, let's
you
get
know,
it.
we called this for a reason, we prepped like this for a reason, and finally we get the payoff of it. Now are we going to see something different from Sentinels, or are they going to keep running with the same sort of mid thing, thinking Fnatic's going to go for the same types of play?
Let's see, we haven't really seen Zelsis tested too early here. He's generally had B main to an extent. Gonna fall away from that. Look towards market, very deep positioning. Alpha one off from his ult here. High focus towards top middle coming out from Sentinels.
Very early Thrash to re-clear the space, thinking that Fnatic was going somewhere.
I was looking at Zekken then, it looked like he was getting really interested through market, maybe taking a glance to clear behind the ult, but sees nothing with this.
That's the problem with this composition. Once you use that knife on that KO, it's all on the Gecko. Dizzy or Thrash, those are the only abilities to get information. There's no darts or drones or prowlers like most other teams run on this map. Take two, he sees three, so they know that Fnatic was leaning towards A, but still with a minute on the clock, Fnatic could decide to go somewhere else. It's very difficult for Sentinels to be able to break this setup right now.
It's tricky. A little bit of Cypher utility now spread across as well over towards A. Ten's weighing on top.
Showstopper in play for Dirk as well. Once they get close at that elbow area, they have this Rolling Thunder as well for that post plant. If they get into the site for free here, this is going to be safe from Alpha, and as soon as Sentinels starts to flood in, Alpha's going to pop that in reaction.
But we're getting low on time. And if Tens can take a player down! Oh, so close. Look at the HP on Dirk. He's down to 2. Tens almost had him out of the air, but has to back away as the site will now be under Fnatic control. They need a plant here, which they should get, and you look at the post here. Does Sen pick up the pace? Do they look to pressure now? The Paranoia came in, the flash went through in the boom bot, but they found nothing for it yet. I'm looking at the lurk as well. John QT's position could be divine. Let's wait though, as already Dirk are going to find Tens controlling the site for second with 2! And he's back on it now! You've got the ult coming through, Sacy sends out Dizzy, John QT, the lurk comes in perfectly! As Alpha left in a 1v4, he's been found! The IGL taking the reins here. John QT leading by example.
A very big mistake there coming out of Team Fnatic. They got on the site for free. They have to understand something's going to come in, and how are they going to manage that post plant positioning? They had that Rolling Thunder, and Alpha was positioned for it, but 2 players getting caught by the paint shells. No one dealing with that flank. That is not good enough, and Sentinels takes another round. That is 1 death in the last 2 rounds here. They are looking very sharp.
Every
very
round, baby, every
different
round.
from those first couple of rounds that they were showing where they were doing this mid-stack. Fnatic need to dig deep if they want to post up a few more rounds here.
It's the perfect example of these 2 teams. You let Fnatic kind of paint their picture first, but Sentinels just ripping down the canvas. As soon as the momentum starts, the pendulum swings so heavily for them. And a very different look to begin with here as well. Looking at Tens getting proactive, Zekken getting proactive over towards A. And willing to challenge behind the one-way. And we can see where Fnatic are residing. Durka and Alpha just around the corner. Tens will show his position. Force Fnatic to have to invest util now to re-clear this space.
Stealing sight.
Actually, hold on, there's commitment! Zekken swings off the back of the Paranoia. And that is a devastating duo to be holding that push up on A. Lovely synergy, and they've done well to get the first.
Stalled out, 1 minute remains on the clock. Fnatic can't break through A. They've used so much as well. They've used a drone in that position. They've used stun, a flash. Now they're down their duelists as well. Looking to pivot over towards B, but Sentinels, they staved that off with just 2 players. Their main defense is towards that B side. They got the trips there. They've got the triangle set up.
I feel like John QT is getting such a good read of this as well. That camera is going to give away the game.
Boaster through middle. Is he going to catch Zekken here?
More timing is everything, Boaster. Oh! It wasn't pretty, but it will get the job done.
Heroes walked out B as well.
It's Alpha, though, to get the reward. He's still pushing through. The site under contest. Hero getting further than maybe they'd expect, but market is still an issue. Sen have bodies here. Alpha not completely clean on the cross, and John gonna catch him. Hero trying to work forward. It's Boaster with 1, and now down to the 1v1. But with 8 seconds, they're so low on time, and the mosh. Hero has to go through it. He gets it, and he's gonna get the plant. Sacy isn't gonna be able to swing in time. Spikes down, but is he ready for the fight?
The cage.
It's perfect to give him a moment of respite. Spotting the cam and spotting the player. Sacy, the one to set this in motion. Sets him up to draw the scoreline all even.
That was a very chaotic round. I'm surprised Fnatic was able to bring it back the way they did. The 4 versus 5 pivoting over and getting really just in every little corridor they could. Heroes walking out B, Boasters going through the spawn smoke and catching Zekken on the sideline. That opening though, that opening duel, the trade of utility at A, right now Fnatic not finding their way into the rounds as easily as they did. The first few rounds were given to them. Sentinels didn't play on the site at all and Fnatic got to walk in for free. What happens though when Sentinels tries to give them any sort of resistance? They're losing players, they're losing time, they're losing resources, and now they're losing steam. They took a timeout here to talk about what they need to do to adjust to what Sentinels is doing right now, but it all starts with getting a clean opening again. Sentinels changing up also what they're doing on their defense at the start of the rounds. His first few rounds, all for that double kill on tiles from Sacy on round 4. After that, though, they abandoned that, and they're doing dynamic setups, different things every round.
And it plays to their strength, though. It's very hard to get a constant read on Sentinels when they play like this. Again, just that couple more steps forward, that willingness to challenge over towards A between the likes of Zekken and TenZ there. They're not the highlights on the scoreboard, but what they did that round was get the first pick, cost them so much utility from Fnatic. It was lovely. So seeing that versatility, that variety, it really encapsulates what Sentinels are fantastic at. Now Fnatic needs to come up with a solution. They need to come back in with a plan. That's what timeout's for. Let's see what they've cooked up here. Still with a purchase, but like shields, still going to be suffering in that regard. Money now changing hands completely. The bank building behind Sentinels.
So far, Fnatic's been opening up relatively slow. They've been spreading across the map, trying to figure out which way they want to go. They haven't been going early towards middle since they got killed on that first double kill. But again, they haven't been taking B main by force yet. It's all been towards middle on this like 20-second into the round interval. Market door closed. Sentinels is giving up middle. They have that full control over A again. Chronicle and a solo push off this area. This is a fake though.
Yeah, but that could have been scary, though. You saw that instantly Sacy had to turn around and support again. It looked like he wanted to go back towards top middle, but the timing on the owl drone forcing him to stay committed. Still, the cam towards top middle. JohnQT can keep a beat on if anyone is slipping through. You can see them trying to eye it up. Durka looking for it.
Sacy.
Post is there. Sacy almost shutting down on one. Zekken looking for a body. Can't get it. It's Chronicle to connect. So the mid fight continuing. And do they re-aggress here, Sen?
Not enough util. Fnatic.
JohnQT, he gets overwhelmed, he gets run over. I thought he could have stopped this. Divide now invested. Zelsis? You're a brave boy, Zelsis. He's going back in for more. He wants seconds. One attempt wasn't enough. Working at the back of the Dizzy. I don't think they know he's here. Zelsis with the opportunity to do some serious damage.
Wait a minute.
And he's doing it. Back-to-back impact. But a 1v3, he'd have to go
Chronicle
for an ace. He's read Chronicle's position. Zelsis is absolutely reading this, but the timing not there. Chronicle, safe pair of hands as ever for Fnatic.
And a beautiful switch up as well from Fnatic off the back of that timeout. Don't know exactly what was discussed, but as you see Durka walking up middle with Boaster, he's staring upwards at that camera. They know something's up. And is this the time where the mind games start coming into play, where both teams prepped against each other for this map? Sentinels picking it, and I mean, Fnatic hasn't really had that many reps on it. They only brought it out the end of stage 2.
Let's focus up. Yeah, thank you. Let's focus up a little bit.
Seems like maybe the communication's getting a little bit sporadic here, but we're seeing the op up now on Zekken. First time we're seeing it this game.
We haven't seen too much of the operator making impact, at least in some of the previous series. Nice to see it lent on early here. Maybe an answer to what they believe Fnatic are trying to do.
Right here.
Focusing on posting up Zekken over towards market thus far and keeping track over towards middle. It's been a constant pressure point for Fnatic. Zelsis just shouldering the angle. It's a very slow and steady start. Fnatic trying to stay relatively unchecked on. And Zelsis not going to get a glimpse on Durka until now. Spotted and still with his life. Durka then just lets go. He goes for it. Takes site control. JohnQT, Zelsis towards that CT side. Flash goes in, any swing, no. Again, hindered, halted, ults coming through. They're trying to find these players towards CT. Nothing to connect so far, still 5 alive on both sides.
Still no spike plant, 40 seconds, but the gap is closing right now. Sacy is on the backlines in the market, but now that the ultimate's gone from KO, abilities are back online for the attackers.
They want to secure the cross, though. There's still threat to this. Tens, Sacy, both here. Pain Shell is perfect. It's going to do so much. Force them away. Alpha gets the fight, and he gets the kill as well. Plant now in play. Durka defending. Takes away Tens, but it's Zekken with the impact through on CT. Looking to re-clear. That's the third. This could be magic for that man, but it's Chronicle still alive. Stelsis takes another, but a 1v2. Chronicle, the hero from before, but can he don the cape again? The reposition, they're staying close. Sentinels taking no risks here, but a fair fight found for John QT. Trade in place again. The leader, the captain, closing out the round, and we're back all even.
These rounds are coming down to the wire. We're seeing clutches coming out into play here, and Sentinels love these types of situations. If they can get it down to these 2 versus 2s, that's where they like to excel. And yeah, we're looking at Fnatic as well. They're no joke at it when they have players like Hero, they have players like Chronicle, and even Alpha. These are rounds where if you get some of these Sentinel players involved in these, they love it, they live for it. Nice little stall out in the middle of the round off the back of that KO ultimate. 5 players each side stalled out.
A little bit different beginning. It'll be Zekken noted first. Operator changing hands over towards Tens now. As Fnatic focusing towards that B main approach, leaving just Boaster split through towards tiles. We can see if they take the space towards A main again.
And a shift up of Fnatic's opening. They've not really been using B all game until this round and the start of the last round as well, usually towards middle, towards A. Here, fully ignoring it. They have that space at B main, trying to shock out whatever trips are here to potentially cause an overreaction from Sentinels or soften it up so they can end with a B split later in the round. But eyeing up that A main, they want to come back. They want to re-clear this. It's Tens this time with the operator. He's on this deep line. He's got backup this time with Sacy.
Time for brilliance. And an opportunity missed there. A very heads-up jump on the corner just to make sure. They've now identified to the operator is here. And this is enough to send them away.
Boaster and Hero just with classics right now. It's so imperative that Fnatic find a way to group up right now and play together. The trades are going to be so difficult to get into play with these classics, but here it's the market split. They were trying to set this up earlier, trying to shock the trips early. Boaster and Chronicle. And he gets the kill with the
Okay, the classic, and it's the Bulldog this time? John QT has been stalwart in approach of holding that B site. Chronicle gets the better of Zelsis. Tens can't even get a second in the round, leaving Sacy, who was probably identified over towards that A site very early on. They get a beat on his new position here towards market. His options have pretty much gone here. And as if that's how they stick the landing, Josh, I didn't see that's how Fnatic was going to get back in with a classic kill and a Bulldog on B site. I'll see.
Well, won't be a flawless round.
No.
Not again. Sacy trying to save his rifle again. This is the second time that he'd be going for it, but Fnatic again taking the lead. Another really clean round from them. It's been a few of these back and forth. It's either a big, flawless round in the side of, you know, one of the teams or the other, with the Fnatic getting the first few of them, then Sentinels fighting back with a few of their own. Then it came down, we had a few of these really close rounds, these clutches that were coming into play. And now, a switch up again.
And when we were talking earlier, just to kind of take a moment while Sentinels have called a tactical timeout, the man on the screen there, Chronicle. At the start of the series, it was mostly Alpha, Durka, and Hero having impact. Chronicle has stepped up as well. As said, he is a big game player. He's the one who's one of the most decorated players in this, and he's been getting them 2 kills, 3 kills, key kills in these rounds. He's been keeping them on their toes here. Sentinels now, though, time to reconsider their approach, potentially.
When we look at players like Chronicle, he is always going to be on that drone. He's going to be the 3rd, 4th player in. So if Durka gets to run in and he's backed up by whomever it is, whether it be Boaster or Alpha in certain situations, if they get all the kills there and it's a flawless round, Chronicle can't get involved. When these games start getting a little bit sloppier, when it comes down where Durka goes 1 for 1, gets traded out, and the rounds get into these 3v3, 2v2s, that's where we're going to start seeing Chronicle being more involved in the situation. And he is one of the, as you said, most decorated players. he's lived for these moments. Every Sopa player, it basically gets into these situations every time they play the game.
And I love seeing it as well. Sacy on the other side of Sentinels, one of the greats too. He knows what it feels like to lift these sort of trophies, and he's towards the top end of the board here. 10 for him as well. But the buy is now shaky. There are going to be Guardians, there's going to be Bulldogs, there's going to be Light Shields. It's not what they would have ideally wanted to come in with, but we're seeing Xelsis maybe set up second here, but showing early interest towards B main. Going to keep Fnatic having to cautiously clear invest utility to force this man away. And he deserves the respect after the performance he's put in. Oh, flash and a re-clear again, but we know that Fnatic are willing to run the clock down, but he is going to continue to test their mettle.
Full group towards B main. Fnatic looking like they want to punish the next re-aggress coming in from Sentinels, expecting potentially a pop flash from that KO and a re-aggress, but it's not going to come in. And now they peel off. But the way that they're staying in these positions, both are controlling middle, they're leaving Hero and Dirk both towards B main. It looks like it's a fake re-clear towards A. They've done this before with that drone, but they'll have to flash the stun as well. But Sentinels creeping into middle, getting down.
Isolate. Okay, I didn't see that one coming. He was clean with it. Yeah, and he's read it correctly. There are 2 more plays. The timing, he looks away, and we put to bed, put to his grave. They've got a good read on this, and there comes Chronicle. This man's impact is off the charts. The hat ult as well should reveal a lot of information. This could be the go signal for Durka to take some space. You're looking at the vast majority of Sentinels trying to focus up towards market, slip away towards CT,
Space
find
created.
a bit of safety.
Chronicle up middle. It's just the camera to spot him, but he's not going to pop that camera at this stage in the round. Chronicle.
But they've got to buy time. They still have to keep them present here, keep them locked in towards market. Durka and Alpha in unison. And now you got to look for the lurk here. Chronicle can now pull the trigger. He can get closer. They're none the wiser. They have no idea of the creeping death behind. No way! Outrageous! And if John QT's alive, is there hope? The 1v1 between the young gun and the IGL of dreams.
The camera on the spike, though, as soon as John QT taps that, he's going to get tagged by the camera, and Hero will have a perfect opportunity to spam him. There's no way.
There's no time. The young gun might have just outdone him here. John QT is normally on for it, but it doesn't matter. The time is gone, and Fnatic stretch their lead.
Back and forth, sloppy or clean. It's back-to-back Sentinels and Fnatic trading out these rounds where one team goes huge and it makes it a really clean round, and then the next round it's a sloppy, comes down to the wire, the 1v1. Boaster getting that first opening pick, that was huge. The rest of his team comes and collapses. Boaster almost, the reason why he turned away was because Hero was actually coming back and spotting that angle for him. They slipped the net, but couldn't get away.
And you've got to feel if John QT had more time on that, that could have been, oh, who knows, who knows?
Nice clutch,
Fnatic,
Hero. Nice camera, brother.
Yeah, it's consecutive rounds. We've got a couple of ults here. Alpha's online, as is Chronicles. You do have Zekken with a showstopper, Stinger in hand, and, well, to say the least, it's a stack. 4 players from Sentinels. Going for a deeper look here. Zekken just turns away. There was a play around here. You know what's in hand. I mean, I don't know if that was worth it for Chron. Gonna let that fade away.
That's a big investment from Sentinels. They're showing their hand as well. B site is wide open for the taking. Fnatic cannot miss this timing. Right now, it's just a couple of trips for that push through from Fnatic to push into spawn, to push into market. But they don't need to do that. They got that rolling thunder. They can play out of the site once they get that spike planted. But Sentinels already in position to come and deny this plant. The Alpha.
And look at Sacy though, he's crept further forward. They don't know about Sacy. And you gotta know about this man, 10 kills already, he's dead! Hero holds the line. And now John QT and Xelsis' options become near on null. Durka gonna be hungry for this, he's going hunting! He's having his dinner. John QT, once again last alive and very few options. It's time to back away.
And again, sticking to the theme of the game, Fnatic pick up another round, 4 alive on the board, and John QT has to save again. This is the 3rd or 4th time Sentinels has to do a save. Sacy was in a couple of those situations, trying to recover that rifle for the following round, because if you look at their credits, basically nothing. Full control is Team Fnatic, and I'm pretty sure Chronicle is also either on Hunter's Fury or close to it, where he can have it in this next round. The combo with the Alpha's Rolling Thunder as well is going to be very tough to deal with, and Sentinels, they've shown some grit in some of these rounds with some of the retakes, with some of their aggressive fights towards A main especially, but these rounds towards B have not been looking super clean for them or close at all.
Bit of a turning point here. Got a little bit worried that could have been the downfall, actually, giving over a big opportunity. But even with staying in that rotation position, even getting to the site so early, I just love the fact we are getting to see two of some very, I guess, respected IGLs in that role. Great calling, great reads. We've got John QT up against Boaster. And John QT's been dangerous. I mean, the man is a danger, to say the very least. A fragging IGL through and through. But Boaster so far in a very strong grip on this game. Looks like a 3-2 split here. Early pressure towards Zekken. Speaking of pressure, that doesn't apply as Zekken gets a new lease of life. You can't get the follow from Boaster.
Boaster!
Speaking about fragging IGLs, it's Boaster at the helm this time. 2 for him, but John QT has his number. Keeps him in a level situation, 3v3, but the retakes have been difficult, and Hero feeling confident. That's why. Claims another man. It's TenZ and Sacy. The duo over towards the A site. But Hero has been sharp. Ult comes in, should clear towards Elise Pillar. Both seen, and actually, hold on.
It catches two.
That's a problem here. It's only Alpha who could do anything about this. So the flash to buy a little bit of time, and TenZ going hunting. He wants in. Stunned up, forced to respect. They're trying to close down, but they can't get to them. Fnatic hold the line! And they hold the scoreline. Taking the lead here. Boaster knowing what he's done on this half. It's a big half to keep Sentinels humbled, to keep them down on 4. A deadly side through and through. But 8-4 is the scoreline. We'll be back in just a second.
Enemy remaining.
Oh, come on.
Trade in any phone in any condition guaranteed and get $800 off the new Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Well, if you missed the first half, where were you, for starters? There's no excuses at this point. Wake up, get your caffeinated beverage, and get yourself ready for this. 4-8, Josh. SEN are trailing, but I think we've all learned our lessons by now of never counting them out.
You're right about that. You should never count them out. Fnatic got that first pistol. They actually got the first 3 rounds of the game here. That's creating a little bit of a buffer on that scoreline, but they chose attack. And was this the reason? Did they have the reads? Also, the switch up of the game plans, the tempo changes, the misdirection baked into their plans. Did that catch Sentinels off guard? But when we look at the scoreboard here, all of the players of Fnatic are contributing on a fairly equal level, some maybe a little bit more than others, but side of Sentinels, some of you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up now. Contact into B. Knife.
Camera taken.
Sees if anyone's close by.
Oh,
but here's the counter push.
The disrespect from Dirk to go head first for that. Zekken is going to quell that and punish him for the disrespect, but he claims Sacy's life. It makes it trickier now to get towards this B site.
4-4. A little bit of a pause, but Sentinel's still trying to get out of the site. There's nothing really to stop them from getting out here. Hero on an off angle.
But if Alpha gets the contact, does Hero then swing? It looked like that was the intention. They should note his position here. The flash is fantastic, forcing him deeper. Zekken trying to springboard forward, looks for another victim to fell. It's TenZ though to get Alpha, so that does remove some of the pressure from Market. Zekken kicking it up a gear. Now just on Boaster in the 1v2. Paint shell in play still for Zekken. Boaster to walk back in. And Zekken looking lethal. The timing, it's right. Sentinels answer back perfectly. Pistol is theirs.
And now the score is going to get a little bit closer. We're getting more players involved in Fnatic. Getting a little wild there on that B main push, trying to catch Sentinels. Only a 1-for-1 trade. But again, comes down to these very sloppy fights at the B site. There's almost like a two-man split off. 2 players pushing up the site, 2 players pushing towards market. Spams going through the cages, people pushing in all sorts of different directions. Very, very messy. And reminiscent of that first half as well.
Baby. Let's go.
All right, they're really sloppy, crazy, down to the wire rounds, or these clean, flawless ones.
Yes, this should do.
Now this should be the gap close, right? This should be 6. Fnatic should be held here. Just pistols. They've gone for a stack as their starting look over towards A, 4 of them. Going to be John QT, who's got to be aware of that. And so far, playing the timing well.
I always get a little bit nervous when I see 5 players with classics. Like, you need to be very confident in either giving up that round or being able to do a miracle with that. It's always when you have like 1 or 2 sheriffs that you're like, nah.
Cage triggered.
Fnatic trying to just get some economic damage. Search out where John QT is trying to fall back to. John QT realizes he's being hunted right now. He's like, I'm going to try to take you on a wild goose chase because right now, if Fnatic move away from that spike, they need to die to that at the end of the round here.
This is smart. This is really smart from John QT. I think Hero knows that he has to kind of fall back towards that B side. Looking like he wants to try and approach through market, or at least go out that way. Okay.
Zelsis next.
I mean, how much can they really cost him here? I'm looking at, it's really, Zelsis who's on the chopping block. 10's going to take away Hero. Zelsis got to be really careful. Yeah, keeps cool, but he's got an army flooding him. That is a valuable weapon dropped. And both will go down in the end. See if John QT can recover that in time. They ran it further back and actually doesn't get hold of it.
That is an expensive round for Sentinels. Fnatic doing work with those classics, those free weapons. They damage. I mean, only Sacy got out of that unscathed, and he had a Bulldog. He didn't have a Vandal or Phantom even. So very costly round, but Zekken has that showstopper. They can use this to convert this 3rd round. That's what Fnatic did in the first half to win those first 3 rounds in a row. It's on Sentinels to try to figure out. They had that game plan for Fnatic in that first half. Will they have it here?
What is this whip stack? Look at that from Fnatic. 3 players there.
Firing squad.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to get ready. And Sacy had the timing right. Still took down Hero.
But that's Hero out. He normally plays B. That might tell Sentinels it's an A retake. The knife info as well.
That's pretty big though, finding 2 players there.
But not in a position to capitalize off of it. Right now, Sentinels is grouping back towards B. Fnatic want to do that re-clear on middle. They already have that drone out, clearing everything. They see set 10s. If 10s went down there, that would have been huge. The smoke's gone, would make this post plant so difficult to defend against. But Fnatic haven't found out exactly where to go yet. They're playing that retake, 4-on-4. They have their smoke still.
So they've conceded the B site control. They've given that over towards Sentinels. You see Zekken on guard duty, basically rocket in hand, ready. Not going to get anything for it. As Fnatic starting to flood back in through market. 1 splitting off his poster. Still going to have util in the backlines from John QT to deny that being a comfortable position to pressure from. And how are you meant to dissuade the players on the site? You can't! When TenZ does that! Back-to-back brilliance from the man. Chronicle and Durka brought to their knees. Poster and Alpha, options have gone.
They just need a save now. They realize Sentinels, their money was so low. Maybe doing a little bit of economic damage here to keep their money low. But I'm looking at it right now, 3,400, 26, 2,400. Their money's actually in a really decent spot at the moment.
Yeah, they're fine with that. John QT. Zekken looking for the player. Trade does go down, and yeah, these rounds are getting close, but that's a bonus converted. That is a bonus for Sentinels. Step by step, closing up the scoreboard now, 7-8, 1 away from being a tied affair here.
This game, I mean, it's going to be unpredictable the whole way through. You can't really know what's going to happen until the very last second, and even then, you don't even know. The back and forth, just the way that the rounds are traded out like this.
And it was something you were saying at the start of this, we needed some of the Sentinels players to wake up. That is looking like TenZ is starting to heat up a bit here there. That was some beautiful shots for him. The only one to retain the rifle for Fnatic is Durka. Sentinels should And I say should lightly because there are a couple of sheriffs out. You know, this is a little bit more of a defensive round.
The dart stun combo.
Timing. Oh, Zekken caught just drifting through. Tens remains alive for now, but he's lucky, if anything. And the punishment, the control on B main is kept in the hands of Fnatic. These weapons aren't easy to get hands on, but Zelsys trying to take the challenge. He's got Sacy behind him, and a quick swing. Zelsys beheading Durka, trying to defend this. Police those weapons lost.
4 versus 3 in favor of Fnatic on their eco round here, and John QT trying to search out this A area, get a little bit of information here.
Oh, he's seen a lot in middle there, though. Not sure if he saw 2, maybe even 3.
Camera gets taken out, but the defender camera at B main, ready to just figure out what's going on here if they need to go for the retake. Searching out John QT, though, yeah.
Look at Hero's position. He knows there's a chance of this. A was left completely open. Hero taking a couple of glances towards it, over towards that spawn side. You can see Sentinels cautious in approach. They don't quite know where Fnatic have gone, and this flank is on the way. So a flank's on a flank pretty much here. You got to expect the timing to be right from John QT.
Hero knows.
Sacy gonna know at least 1. He now knows there's 2, but the trade is there for Alpha.
Hero.
This could get turned on its head. Hero reads it well, and now Zelsys in a 1v3. It's only Sheriffs, but how much can one man do? He's got a player to the right, 1 to the left. The defuse will be beginning in about a second. You take your eye off the prize and they'll punish you for it. Another opportunity. 2 for Zelsys. Maybe a third. No, Hero makes his appearance known. Defuse for the ult for Chronicle. And the scoreline gets held away for now.
Both these teams doing such big gambles on both sides. Here at Fnatic, they choose to do this 4-man D full retake A setup. It's not the first time they've done it, but here they've got the stun, the dart ready, and they're going to fight inside of B main, catching Sentinels. They had Sheriffs only, and a classic. These rounds, these reads, everyone's in each other's minds right now.
Yeah, I love that between Hero and John QT then kind of circling each other. And you saw the awareness
sorry guys,
from Hero.
I thought you were fighting with me. I meant
okay,
I mean, got it in the end.
Okay,
yeah, he did. Wild stuff. But we're not out of the woods yet. This game definitely hasn't settled. It's up in the air, 7-9.
As soon as Fnatic gets that win off that 4B gamble stack, they switch it up. They're in a 4A gamble stack. They got the camera and the trips on Boaster on A, but we haven't seen the side from them yet before. Chronicle also has that Hunter's Fury, and he could pop this in the back if he wants.
See, Sacy's cleared through. Knows there's no one currently in market. They know the site is absent of players. Plant might be questioned, but for now, they hold the site, and they're staying on the site. Sentinels not falling back towards B main. They're looking like they want to get in here. Tens trying to tee him up. Paranoid goes through. Bosa tries to back away, but he's caught. He is absolutely sunk. Zekken leading the charge, and now the rest of Fnatic want to avenge their IGL. You gotta look at the flank here as well, you're right. Zelsys gonna be put on notice, catches him. Notes Durka, Paint Shell goes in and Zelsys leans forward, but it's Durka and Chronicle in unison, dropping bodies. Sacy holding the back from the market, trying to play to the time perfectly, and they're doing everything they can. But a 1v2 for Alpha, he may not have the time for this. I think it's gone, I think it's too late. Sentinels back up within touching distance now.
These rounds are just so back and forth in their faces. I thought Sentinels was going to get that one for free as well once they got on that B site, extending to spawn with that Thrash, but somehow Fnatic from multiple different angles, a 3-prong attack, they're coming in for that retake, and they're hidden back hard. Still, almost tied up game. Fnatic, they're taking another timeout here. This is the last one gone for them. So many ultimates for them.
And I kind of like that they're pumping the brakes here, because similar situation on the other side, not quite as, I guess, instigating ults. You've got the TP for Tens, the hat for John QT.
Yeah.
But they do have Zelsys, so, you know, the KO ult could be used as a nice springboard forward, but on the other side, some very impactful ultimates coming into cycle. So this could be a set piece potentially for Fnatic, or just a check-in of what they've seen so far.
This is where it gets very unpredictable. And, you know, I've cited it a couple times, but the way that you can use these ultimates, there's different ways you can use it to execute on a site. So if you're Zelsys with that KO ultimate, you can do it the way that Fnatic's been setting up these 4-player gamble stacks. It turns off all their abilities. It's just guns out at that point. Or you can save it and use it to cancel out that Showstopper, that Hunter's Fury, if Fnatic try to use that on a retake. So figuring out what you want to do, how you're going to use these ultimates. Are you going to use it to initiate? Are you going to save any, knowing that it's going to probably stimulate the other team to make a reaction, a response to whatever you're doing? And Fnatic right now, trying to get a handle of the situation. We've seen them not really do their normal game plan. They're switching it up. They're doing these 4-man gamble stacks, constantly re-clearing middle. And Sentinels, they've been pacey towards B a lot.
They have been. And Sentinels currently are 4-1 on this half. Picking up the pistol, converting the bonus, just getting that one back.
Right here.
It is game on. Let's see what Sentinels decide to do this round. Chronicle going to get the information early towards A, but they're going for a bit of a heavier presence towards B. You're looking at Alpha, you're looking at Durka and Hero on the back line by Pillar. And Sentinels going to go through the protocol list. It's actually going to be a huge investment! Durka takes away Zekken, but how much more can he do? Ten's taking a little bit of splash damage, it looks like, and Sacy going to lose his life. They've invested everything they had to that opening.
Those 2 kills are huge. They need to be able to close this out. John QT, that would have been a huge find if he was able to get it on Boaster. But 3 players from Sentinels coming over to this A-side. Boaster is all alone. He needs to find a way to get out. He needs to live. His teammates are so far away.
Surely it's too late. He can only hold towards that elbow position. John QT trying to close the gap, get a bit closer. Takes a step over. The trap in play, trying to isolate Boaster here. He's been seen, he's been noted, he's buying time. But it takes time. The rotation on the way. And Chronicle right nearby. He might team himself up for the trade. Ten's left out to dry. No one there to back him up until then. 2 big picks. John QT and Zelsis take away the players trying to pressure that plant, but it got into play. So Zelsis and John QT still need to stand together. It is a 2v3. Numbers on towards Fnatic's side. Zelsis feeling the pressure on the site. You can see the crossfire in play here. As best they can. Zelsis going to get the contact from all 3. Can he divide? Can he conquer? Spots them getting closer. He knows it. He hears it. It's John QT to his side. But Durka succeeds. And now John QT on 39 needs to clutch and he can't. Fnatic make it up to 10. Sentinels held on 8. The scoreline finally pulling away.
Fnatic finding their groove again. That was so scary for Boaster on an island for so long. Such a big ultimate investment to get those first 2 kills, to get that opening. You should be converting those rounds pretty much like 90% of the time pretty much, but the fact that it got as close as it did makes me nervous for what happens. No. Oh no, the stand-up curse, the stand-up curse.
Glue him to the chair.
It's fine, because if Sentinels wins a round, Zelsis probably stands up, it evens out.
It's not fine. I'm telling you now, it's not fine. Oh lord, it's a rifle with Zekken and a sheriff with 10s. But why? Why do I feel like this is the one? The curse begins. Let's see what damage they can do all together. 3-2 split towards A. Chronicle stands in his way. Right, big info, flank en route. But if he goes down, the floodgates open. They have a safe cross towards the site, so Wingman probably going to get the plant now.
The early flank is coming out for the defense. And all the smokes are gone for the attackers. They're not going to have another one for about 15 seconds or so.
But this is the man. Zekken, 10s, these 2. Paranoia primed. He gets it right. That's a lot of blind
They have
players.
Pair Ultimate as well to stall everything out if they want it.
Paranoia is perfect. Zekken can only get 1 though so far, but 10s falls for it. It's fine. It's a 4v4. Time beginning to tick. The back line pressured. Hero, this should be called out. They've got to know he's here. Zekken waits in the smoke and he strikes. This is the round. Is this how it happens? The curse potentially coming into play, but a 3v3 and Fnatic shut it down. 11 for Fnatic. Diffuses there.
If you're gonna stand up, at least deliver at the end there. Alpha with 3 big kills, not letting it happen again, not again. He learned his lesson. And if you're gonna be the one to stand up, at least you gotta put the other team down.
That was 1 rifle and 1 sheriff. Right? That's the simplicity of it, and it felt so close. Alpha really clean. Yeah, he made sure he locked that in.
Bro. I just saw the last effects on Wi-Fi.
Chronicle also stood up, I'm pretty sure, in that situation, so...
Chronicle can do what he wants. Let's be honest, he can do what he wants. Now, Sentinels have felt enough here. These are, excluding that 17th round, these have been the Fnatic run back, right? That could have been 4 consecutive, it wasn't. It's now just 2. But it's been enough of a red flag, right? The game's getting far too far away from them to pumping the brakes. They've got ults here. Josh, what do they come up with? They've got to buy. This has to be a big, big investment, and it's got to work.
You say red flag. Sentinel 6, the timeout. Is that meaning Sentinels around in here? They have their ultimates. When we look at the rounds, a couple of rounds ago, Fnatic dumped 3 ultimates to find the early 2 picks, make it into a 2 versus 1 where they win the round. Now Sentinels, they have a couple ultimates of their own. They're really close to a Thrash as well. They could definitely combo some ultimates, get back into the game here. They just had to sit on these ults for another round as they did in Eco, but Fnatic is in a really good position to potentially close out the game soon here. Boaster has that Astral Divide, so I'm wondering if they're more fine to defend that A site or middle and go for that retake on B, but Sentinels realizes if Fnatic's not playing the site, we're pushing spawn. And I wonder if Fnatic has clued into that. It doesn't matter though, it looks like Fnatic is trying to set up that B defense again here. It's worked for them before. Sentinels eyeing up middle for the first time.
That would be probably the remit of more, I guess, alpha. And you can already see the adjustment coming from Chronicle 2 to maybe try and keep tabs on that.
I think Durka snuck in here before the camera went up, and JohnQT will not be the wiser.
Oh, God.
It's all on that trigger discipline to line them all up, to respawn it at middle.
Big info. Alpha now under scrutiny, but
Durka!
Oh, JohnQT, the savior of that moment. A missed shot, and now Sentinels start the ball rolling. The B site is open, it's available. Hero trying to hinder. Catching one on the cross, can't land it, JohnQT does. Setting them up for success. And a plant that he had, and if you're Fnatic, you're pulling the plug, surely. That was perfect from Sen.
A couple of the players on Fnatic have a little bit of cash reserves, but we're also looking at Hero, who's down to 100 credits, so a likely save. They're in the lead. Only one big ultimate used there from Zelsis. They still keep Zekken's Showstopper for another day. And Chronicle, not really involved in some of these fights.
I mean, the pacing Sentinels took through mid, how are you meant to? His Owl drone seemed well timed, but by that point, they were in market, basically. He caught, 3 of them moving that way, but by that point, the timing on the crunch, I guess it felt like he was dependent on Durka, pretty much. If he succeeds towards main, maybe they can
He was set up perfectly
timing,
for it.
And he missed.
He missed. Sometimes that's just how it goes.
JohnQT,
you can have the perfect, you can have the perfect setup, but if you aren't able to capitalize on the position you've been given, the blessing, that's it. It falls apart so easily. Fnatic, I want to see them change up their setup though. They've been running the same kind of B defense, jamming them in B main a few different times here, and it's worked. It's given them what they wanted, but we saw it in the last half as well. Around 7 or 8 rounds into the game, Fnatic did switch it up and started changing the pace, started baking in that misdirection. I wonder if we're going to see a switch up from Fnatic on their defense, or even Sentinels. They've been going really quick. That first 40 seconds, they're in the site. It's usually been towards B here. But a little bit of a fake opening towards A. A lot of information given. They have that camera.
The third man.
Yep. And right now, Fnatic is defending towards that A side. They're putting Hero back on B. We haven't seen him towards B defending since maybe even Pistol around this game. He's usually so good at this, getting 2 kills, getting out with his life. But here he backs out, doesn't want to go against these ultimates. But so much space taken, and they're going to keep going. Sentinels, they have that Showstopper. It's still active. The Thrash, they need to recover it.
Now, they're going to know that they've taken over CT space. It's all through market, pretty much. Maybe an eventual flank from Chronicle, but Fnatic have to take some more space back in. They can't just flood through market.
It's going to be hard, though. Sentinels playing forwards. They know this Astral Divide's in play.
Yeah, staying on the site here. Paranoia ready. TenZ sends it and then backs. They're just not getting in the door here. Sentinels shutting it in their face. Now it is go time. Zelsis sent to his death. Forced to fight forward. Sacy now leaning back, but time is ticking. You gotta get a move on here. Sentinel's gonna lap this up, but the trade's in play. Sacy still stands, as does JohnQT, and the time is ticking. They are out of time, surely. No more to be done here. No more time to play. Sentinels running it down to the wire.
And Sentinels taking that round from under the noses of Fnatic, and Fnatic just way too slow, couldn't find an opening into that round. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, but so much pressure put on them from that Thrash, from that Showstopper, and then the Paranoia, and then they back out to the next angle. They don't back all the way into B main. They know that's a round loss for them. So they back out, just back into the site, and get this crossfire going, and another chaotic situation. I am surprised that Astral Divide was used in that situation with that much time left.
Yes, that is a big burn up of an ult, but I have to give credit again. In a round they needed that the timeout was potentially built for, you've got JohnQT leading by example. One exceptional IGL, 21-11. Again, conceptually, that fate coming into play, it pulling that third body across Fnatic too late to the party on B. Absolute maestro of the downfall of Fnatic in that round. However, still in the lead overall, Boaster really pressured in that. And we've got pressure on two fronts, really. Oh, but Zelsys deals with Durka. Sends him away and falls off this.
A minute to play with, a 5 versus 4. And a good read, understanding exactly how Fnatic's trying to do this push and pull every time they're trying to take B main and re-aggress into their Sentinels, waiting, ready to punish that. Now another retake potentially for Fnatic, this time in a 4 versus 5.
A little uncomfy there, but all good. Should be able to get the plant now. They're looking at what they've got for the retake. Bulldog.
Spike planted.
Still there for Boaster. SMG for Chronicle.
They have that dart that can smoke off elbow, aftershock out that default box. This is doable for Fnatic. It needs to be perfect though. Boaster trying to take that timing in.
Actually, he's gone in the door. Zekken sends him away though, and now they're struggling, now they're capitulating, now they're falling to pieces. Sentinels coming together when it matters most. 11 potentially now. Destined to be a close game between these two. Chronicle can do nothing really. Yeah, he might find one. But unless they completely leave the site, it means nothing. Take a couple bodies, sure. Make it hurt. But the real gut punch of it all for Fnatic will be that it's 11-11 Sentinels back in this. And watching John QT is like watching a master at work. He has called a fantastic half for this side. And now all even, where's the game gonna go?
You asked me this, but again, the mind games that are coming out, these guys know exactly what the other team is going to do. The preparation is there. They know exactly how they want to manipulate everything. And sometimes, even with the perfect plan, it doesn't work out. Alpha, though, those big kills, he's got his a few good ultimates here. One away from Hunter's Fury as well. Fnatic about to have really good chance to turn this around again.
But look at the money.
I mean, it's down there.
The ults, the money's in the bin for Fnatic. You got Sheriffs, you got SMGs, 2 Sheriffs.
Doesn't matter, I saw them win with Classics.
On the other side, Sentinels strength after strength here. Zelsys knows, he's baiting this out. It's so well done. Sentinels, again, correct read, finger on the pulse.
Cage trigger.
Alpha still has that rolling thunder, and if they do this 3-man flank all the way through, they can actually catch Sentinels in a really precarious position here. And like backing all the way out, holding from a passive spawn angle, waiting for Sentinels to extend all the way through. But still, I look at, you're right, the Sheriffs, the Spectre, not the greatest weapons. It's all on Dirk and Alpha to find these big openings. Showstopper already wasted. Sentinels looking for that opportunity to jab through the smoke. Counter util ready. Alpha affected, no stun, no flash. The time is ticking.
Fnatic running this incredibly low. Again, the ult. Okay, it's going to be down to the wire, but 10's unaffected. Maybe his moment to shine, but forced away. 24 HP, he leans forward, and he just brushes his shoulders. What? He still gets a body for the time. Keep in mind the clock is ticking, and it's ticking fast. John QT forced away. Zelsys fights back, and Sentinels make it up to 12.
Sentinels, 12 rounds on their map pick. Starting the half, 4-8, they were down. They get those first 3 rounds in a row. They start climbing it back round by round. It's not pretty every round, but they get there in the end. Now, map point for them. Fnatic, they're going to be able to string together some sort of buy going on here, but Sentinels is full control of the game. They know exactly how Fnatic wants to respond to some of these situations, baiting out perfectly Durka to push through B main. It's not working for Fnatic, and they need to switch it up if they want to be able to stay in this game.
Down to the wire. OT on map 1 in the hands of Sentinels.
Right here.
Chronicle with the ult.
Take flight.
On the other side, 10 still has his, but nowhere near as influential. And the Owl drone, does it catch a pixel? Absolutely not. Not going to see what he wants this time.
Not ready yet.
It's a very early reclear. And if he's alone here, it's going to be dangerous for him to pop out. Oh, he's just going to do a blind.
Oh my god, it could be devastating, but he doesn't catch.
No.
Just about caught second. How much does that tell them? And then it falls into the one man's hands who could be the threat, who could be the downfall. How diligent are they? It doesn't matter, he still gets one.
Big shock.
Oh, Chronicle, where was that? Out of nowhere, catching Sacy on the shock dart. And suddenly, They're left in pieces, fractured on the way forward. TenZ, John QT and Zelsis, you talk about impact players, you got them in this though.
I'm looking at TenZ's ultimate. On a round like this is where you want to try to find your footing into a site and pop that ultimate if you need to back out. Right now, Zelsis is trying to figure out how he can disrupt this retake, the rotations, but deciding to move together here. John QT versus Hero is going to be a big duel towards B, but it's a defense on market. They don't care about the site.
First fight, TenZ trying to lead the fray. John QT, TenZ! Back to back impact. TP to the site, plant up next, and suddenly the record is flipped. And now you're down to Alpha and Chronicle. Again, impact sure, but in a moment like this, can you pull it through? Zelsis hops away, keeps himself alive. Information aplenty, they now know what they're up against, and TenZ's timing could be heaven sent. But no, they skip around, they go towards site, one towards main, one on pillar, one CT. Hard to find fair fights, and John QT prowling, waiting. Chronicle finds Zelsis, but the time is ticking, and TenZ is on the way. The camera comes up, they want to get it towards half. They might just do it, but TenZ, the bully of the big boys, afraid of no one, shuts out map 1, 13-11. Sentinels lead in the series.
TenZ, such a slow start to the game, is able to close it out with a 2K in the back, and Sentinels looking for a moment there, like it was a questionable pick for them to go into Sunset, and suddenly they turn it around, close it out.
Okay, Bind up next. Do not miss this.